This episode of eHealth Radio is brought to you by uNatural, empowering your health. No matter the season or reason, Breathe by uNatural makes it easier to do just that. Our super simple, no-nonsense formula helps improve the function and health of your lungs naturally. A time-tested supplement formulated specifically for sinus, nasal, and lung support. Breathe in. Enter eHealth 15 at checkout for 15% off at uNatural.com. Again, that's eHealth 15 for 15% off at eUNatural.com.
This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
And thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. eHealth Radio gives you the most current health information, news, and advice featuring some of the leading innovators in healthcare and wellness who are changing healthcare as we know it. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. Today we're speaking with Mr. Shep Doniger, a communication strategy consultant to diabetes testing company Decision Diagnostics, who has re-engineered their diabetes technology to be able to detect the COVID-19 virus through blood and saliva using a test strip and meter or reader. Mr. Doniger, thanks for joining us on behalf of Decision Diagnostics here on eHealth Radio.
Thank you for having me on.
And you're certainly more than welcome. Our pleasure indeed, and looking forward to hearing all the details here. So first of all, tell us, Mr. Doniger, what is your test all about? Does it test for the virus or for the antibodies? Let's start there.
Our test is all about being able to detect immediately, rapidly, on site, the COVID-19 virus. It actually tests for the virus, not the antibodies. So if you are wondering whether or not you have COVID-19, if your employer is wondering whether you have COVID-19, if you are entering a sports venue or about to travel, our test is designed to be able to tell you or whoever you're working with on site that's taking the test with you or for you what the results are and whether you're positive or negative right at that time immediately.
And that is fantastic right there. Now, what are the points that make your test different than others in the marketplace or in the space?
Well, most tests in the marketplace, even those that claim they are rapid results, require either a substantial investment in technology to be able to read it on site, or even those that can turn around tests in a matter of hours or within 24 to 48 hours, require the testing sample to leave the presence of the patient and go someplace to be read. Now, if you're in a hospital, obviously, you can get a shorter turnaround time, but not everybody goes to the hospital or a clinic to get tested. Many people go to what they call rapid testing locations where they take, and we've all seen this on TV, a nasal swab. Our tests come in two forms. One is via blood, a simple pinprick to the finger, that blood droplet put on a testing strip, and that strip put into a meter that actually reads whether or not the virus is in the blood. Or we are also working on a saliva test where you would spit into a collection vessel. You would use the same type of testing strip to put into the spit and the testing in the vessel, and then put that into the meter to read for the virus. What makes ours different really from anybody, whether you use the blood or you use the saliva methodology, is that you get an immediate result. We have been finding in the testing we've been doing overseas that those results happen in 10.5 seconds or less. You will get a positive or a negative reading. So what really makes our test different than pretty much everybody else's out there is that they are rapid, fast, and immediate. They are accurate. They're certainly convenient, particularly the saliva test. They can be used and done anywhere at any time, and critically, they can be done multiple times a day if necessary. So the way your audience or the audience should picture this is, if you're familiar with what diabetic glucose monitoring or testing is, the blood test works along the same methodology. We have been in the diabetes testing business for about 2 decades. So what we've done is we have re-engineered our diabetic testing components, our strip and our reader, to be able to detect the virus both in blood and and also in saliva.
Well, I'd say that's some kind of technology, timely, and definitely making an impact here, no doubt. Now, what is the status of your testing and technology right now? Is it FDA approved?
Our technology right now is being looked at, and we are working with the FDA on a continuing basis toward protocols for testing, and we hope to be doing that sort of testing in the next few weeks. So it is not FDA approved now, either for the blood testing or for the saliva testing. We have been doing a tremendous amount of testing overseas where some of the requirements are different, perhaps not as rigorous as those required by the FDA, but nonetheless, we still have to meet at least some minimum standards. And we do hope to have the technology available sometime in the latter part of the third quarter or toward the end of the third quarter of this year. We are already working with some international distributors, and we will hopefully be able to manufacture that product and ship that product once we receive international certification, in particular CE mark, out of the European Union, and we hope to be able to have that product in the marketplace by the end of the third quarter. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're aiming for.
That's certainly not in the distant future. That's just around the corner, and that is obviously good news. Of course, the name says it all. Breathe, U Natural's potent lung support supplement made by medical and herbal professionals makes it easier to do just that. Formulated for sinus, nasal, and immune health, save 15% off with eHealth 15 at unatural.com. Again, try it risk-free for 90 days with code eHealth15 at eunatural.com. Today we're speaking with Mr. Shep Doniger, a communication strategy consultant to diabetes testing company Decision Diagnostics, who has re-engineered their diabetes technology to be able to detect the COVID-19 virus through blood and saliva using a test strip and meter or reader. And he's joined us here today on eHealth Radio's Diabetes and Technology channels, a part of the eHealth Radio Network. So, Mr. Doniger, any idea when we might see this here in the U.S., and is the test available anywhere else right now?
The test is not available anyplace else right now, although it is under very heavy testing at our home base in Korea. We hope to see the product in the U.S. as soon as we can get FDA approval, and we are continuing to work on a daily basis with the FDA to get the testing protocols aligned. We will hopefully, in the not-too-distant future, be selecting a testing partner, and once we can do that, we hope it'll be only a matter of weeks to turn the testing around, produce the type of results that we're seeing overseas, and get approval from the FDA. So certainly, as quickly as we can do it, and as quickly as we can work with the FDA to get it approved, we will indeed do that. We do believe that it will be available on an international basis sooner than it will be here. And we're hoping that is sometime toward the end of the third quarter of this year.
And again, that is just around the corner. What do you think the impact of such a test will be on the country and the ability to rapidly test anywhere, anytime? I can only imagine.
Decision Diagnostics has designed the testing, particularly the saliva test, to be as convenient as possible. And we think that this will have a tremendous impact on being able to test here in the United States, anytime, anywhere. Right now, testing can take time in terms of its turnaround and notifying the patient of when he or she either has tested positive or negative. That's not necessarily conducive to getting us back to anything resembling the old normal. We all talk about the new normal. The new normal, we believe, will have it will look like you need to test on a regular basis, and sometimes that will mean multiple times during the day. So what we are anticipating with our test, particularly our saliva test, is for people to have a home kit. They may have it at their office as well, but they will be able to test themselves on a regular basis at home to see whether or not they test positive or negative for the virus. So just as with the diabetes testing, and diabetics have been using a test strip and a meter or reader for decades successfully, millions of times every single day around the globe. Just as that methodology has been accepted, is safe, and is accurate, we are hoping that our technology will provide the same type of convenience and simplicity that the diabetic testing provides, and allow people to do this at home. You could go to your local pharmacy, CVS or Walgreens, buy a kit. The other thing we're working very hard to do is make these kits affordable, and which will provide tremendous access to anybody who wants to purchase the meter, the strips, and do their testing whenever and wherever they want.
Certainly great to hear this positive news and great expectation as we're closing in on when that should be available, and really appreciate what you do on behalf of Decision Diagnostics and the impact that you will have. Certainly some awesome news right here. What's the website, and how can people get more information and stay up to date with any breaking news in these regards?
To keep an eye on what's happening with Decision Diagnostics and our rapid COVID-19 test, in particular our saliva test, I would advise folks to pay attention to the website at www.decisiondiagnostics.co, and we are trying to put out as much information as is available as soon as it makes itself available to us, to keep folks informed about the progress we're making and when this test will be available.
And again, listeners, the website of reference is decisiondiagnostics.co. Mr. Doniger, all the best, and thanks for joining us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thank you for having me.
And you're certainly more than welcome. We've been speaking with Mr. Shep Doniger, a communication strategy consultant to diabetes testing company Decision Diagnostics, who has re-engineered their diabetes technology to be able to detect the COVID-19 virus through blood and saliva using a text strip and meter or reader. And again, for more information, visit decisiondiagnostics.co. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.
This episode of eHealth Radio was brought to you by UNatural, empowering your health. The name says it all. Breathe. UNatural's potent lung support supplement made by medical and herbal professionals makes it easier to do just that. Formulated for sinus, nasal, and immune health. Save 15% off with eHealth 15 at unatural.com. Try it risk-free for 90 days with code eHealth 15 at eunatural.com.